What's going on, my fellow advocates? Reggie B coming at you once again with another episode of the Growth Times Infinity podcast. And in this video, I want to touch on stress. Since it is Stress Awareness Month, the month of April, that's something that I want to talk about in this video. And with stress, many of us, if not all of us, we go through stress. We always come across stress. There's something out there. It's something that we always get into that could potentially put us in a stressful situation. There's things that's going on out there in society. There's stuff that's going on out there in the world, in our community, that triggers our stress, has the potential to have a negative effect on our stress. As we look at the news, we hearing about things that are going on locally. We hear about things that are going on in the world that can trigger our stress. Worrying about things that we shouldn't be worrying about, that has the potential to trigger our stress. Work related stress, there's a such thing as that. When we go into work, we have to deal with managers. We have to deal with completing tasks in a timely manner. We have to deal with the public. We have to deal with consumers. Just dealing with things in general on our jobs. And even if you have your own business, if you're an entrepreneur, there are some things that you have to deal with as well that can potentially raise our stress levels. Along with that, in the household as well, with parents, especially moms, when they're dealing with the kids, that can be a very stressful situation. Paying bills. As I mentioned before, we go to work, we go to work so we can make money, so we can pay our bills within the household. That can be a stressful situation as well. Especially when bills, they can potentially, go up and down, especially with the light bill. Something with the light bill is summertime. And a lot of times the light bill will go up in price compared to what it has been up to this point. Household chores, keeping the house in order. That can potentially be a very stressful situation. But I bring all that up to say this. We are always potentially dealing with things or people that can potentially raise our stress levels. So with that, my question to you is, what are you doing on a daily basis to manage your stress? And I ask this question because if we've been connected long enough, one of the things that I like to talk about, one of the things that I like to bring awareness to is D.MO. That's one of my favorite topics that I like to talk about. D.MO, Daily Method of Operations. And I feel like with that method, we should be applying that when it comes to managing our stress as well. And I feel like we have plenty of opportunities to do something on a daily basis where we can manage our stress, because we come across things that trigger our stress almost on a daily basis. And I feel like to counter that, we should be doing something intentionally. We should be doing something daily. At least one, two, maybe a few things a day that can help us with our stress levels. So once again, my question to you is, what are you doing on a daily basis to manage your stress? So I want you to think about this question as we go along in this video. And before I go any further, I want to share with you a disclaimer, because at this point, I'm going to share with you some suggestions, some tips, just encouragement. And that's all I'm doing. But my disclaimer is, I'm not a physician. I'm not a doctor. I'm not an expert in regards to managing stress. Once again, I just want to offer you some encouragement based on research I've done, based on what I read, based on what other people have told me that have shared with me. Again, I'm not an expert. I'm just encouraging people to just be mindful of your stress and how to manage it. So let me share with you some things that I feel like that we can do that could potentially help us manage our stress. The first thing that I want to encourage people to do is to engage in prayer and meditation. And with prayer and meditation, that's one of the things that you can do on a daily basis. And at any given moment in time of the day. You can pray in the morning, you can pray in the afternoon, midday, you can pray at night. Same thing with meditation. You can make time to do it throughout the day. And you don't have to necessarily just have to sit down and, be like this and be meditating and praying and all that good stuff. You can just do it throughout the day. You can just, you know, seek the opportunity, be intentional in doing it. So I would encourage people definitely to engage in prayer and meditation, pray, talk to your God, talk to the higher power, however you want to see it. So I would definitely encourage people to do that, because it's like with that, you want to get that clutter out of your mind, out of your spirit, out of your heart. And also when we think about the things that we worry about, a lot of times we worry a whole lot. I know some people personally, they just worry about a lot of things. And this is what I want to say about people who worry. A lot of times we worry about things that are out of our control. So I want y'all to understand that. And also I want you to understand that we should shift our focus on the things that we can control. Point blank, period. I heard a pastor said years ago that at least 90% of the things that we worry about don't even happen, don't even have an effect on us. And I want you to understand that as well. So worrying about things that we shouldn't be worrying about things that are out of our control, it's time for us to shift our focus on the things that we can control and work on that and go forward. So as I mentioned before, prayer, meditation, I would encourage people to do that. Along with that, another thing that we can engage in regards to managing our stress is, I want to encourage you to do the things that you enjoy. Do the things that brings you fulfillment. And I want you to identify that. Just say to yourself, or write down the things that you truly enjoy. And I want to encourage you to make time to do those things. And I feel like with that can potentially be less stressful for us. So I want you to consider that. I want you to think about that. Do the things that you enjoy. Do the things that bring you fulfillment. Along with that, being active. I want to encourage you to be active. Whether it's working out, whether it's, just going outside, being outdoors, and perhaps going to a park and do a nature walk, or just walk around the trail. You can run, you can trot, that type of thing. You can also join a sports league. There are so many sports leagues out there locally. I know here in Houston there is. I'll tell you this, man. There was a point of time, and I'm looking to get back into a sports league, actually. I was thinking about that. I was thinking about actually getting back into softball. Softball was something that I did like in my 30s, and there is a park that's not too far from me. They have a softball league, and that was something that I was really just thinking about. I may go ahead and do that. I mean, because it's really been on my mind and on my spirit, and especially that I go to that park and I like to walk around as well. And within this park, I go to the library. So this library is located at that park, and that really just sparked my interest in regards to getting back into softball. So that's something that I may be doing. That's something that I've been thinking about doing. So I'll let you know about that. So stay tuned. And along with that, there's flag football leagues. That's something that I did in my 20s. I participated in the flag football league. That was really cool. You got people who play pickup volleyball, soccer, pickup basketball. There's tennis, pickleball. There is so much that we can do to be active. So there's no excuse. So I want to encourage you to be active, regardless of what it is. And I feel like with that can potentially lower our stress as well. Not only being active, but being social as well. I mentioned joining a sports league, being among peers, and along with being active by joining a sports league also gives you an opportunity to be social with others. It gives you an opportunity to meet new people, to connect with new people, to have friends, to develop a relationship with others. So that gives you an opportunity to be social. And along with that, just hanging out with people, hanging out with your partners, your homies, your girlfriends, going out, maybe going out to a sports bar, going out to a concert, going out to an event, just being social. Another thing that I like to do is I like to intentionally go to networking events. That's something that I told myself that I'm going to start doing more. Just going to networking events. Again, it's all about meeting new people. It's all about being social. So being social is another thing that could potentially lower our stress. And one more thing I want to share with you is to engage in hobbies. Engage in hobbies. And I mentioned the thing about doing things that we enjoy, doing things that bring us fulfillment. That can be our favorite hobby, right? And it doesn't necessarily have to be a hobby. It can be something like what I'm doing when I create videos for my YouTube channel. It can be, being a content creator. It can be you can be a podcaster. A very good hobby. It's a very good hobby, right? So I would encourage you to do that. Whatever hobby that you really enjoy, I would encourage you to engage with that. And along with that, travel. Travel throughout your state, travel throughout your country, travel out the country. Traveling is a great way to lower your stress, to manage your stress. I know some people. I really look forward to having conversations with people about travel because I hear people, they share their traveling expenses. They've shared how they've gone to different states and they go to different countries. They put some miles on their passport. And along with that, what it does is that it can encourage us. It can open our eyes. We can, just think about the possibilities. Like, hey, somebody shared with you that they went to a certain country. And before you know it, if you haven't gotten it yet, you didn't got a passport. And before you know it, you didn't yourself took a trip out of the country. So I would encourage people to engage in a favorite hobby or hobbies and also traveling. So let me know what you think about this. Managing our stress. Once again, my question to you is, what are you doing on a daily basis to manage your stress? And I really feel like, and I firmly believe that there is no excuse. Just like we are potentially faced with people and things that could potentially raise our stress levels, in turn, we have the opportunity to do something daily. There's no excuse. I mentioned traveling. You can always book a trip. You can book a flight. You can prepare for that. Being social, that's something you can do on a daily basis. Again, you can hang out with a friend. You can even call and text someone. Have a conversation with somebody over the phone. Go out and meet new people. If you're out running errands, just spark a conversation up with somebody. You have the potential to do that on a daily basis. Being active, you have the potential to do that on a daily basis. You have the opportunity to work out on a daily basis. You have the opportunity to walk around the track or do a nature walk on a daily basis. You have an opportunity to stretch on a daily basis. That's being active as well. Calming your mind. Prayer and meditation. As I mentioned before, you have the opportunity to do that on a daily basis. There is no excuse. And if your excuse is, I don't have time to do some of these things, it's not about whether you have time or not. It's all about if you're willing to make the time to do these things. You have time. You just have to be willing to make the time. And I understand that, our schedule can be tight. We may have a lot going on throughout the day. But if you can just commit, like if you come across a day where your day is just full, if you can just set aside 5 minutes to pray, if you can set aside just 10, 15 minutes to meditate, if you can just set aside maybe 20 to 30 minutes to be active real quick, you can do it. It's all about the mindset. It's all about the willingness to want to do it. Peace and blessings to you as you continue your journey. So let me know what you think about this topic. Managing our stress, applying the D.MO method, the daily method of operations. So what are you going to do today? What are you going to do today? What are you going to do right now that's going to help you manage your stress? I am Reggie B, aka the Growth Advocate, and I appreciate you as always tuning into this episode of the Growth Times Infinity podcast on my YouTube channel. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button if you haven't as of yet, and also feel free to leave a comment below. I would love to receive your feedback. And until the next time, keep growing and keep going.